Hello YouTube, Triumph Guy here today, and we're on the fourth part of the restoration process of this Alpine Sprite vintage caravan from the 1970s. So what we've been up to is we've built the upholstery from scratch. We have put the live edge worktop in, we've put the shelves in, and we've done lots of other fittings. So let's get to it. Because we're on a bit of a budget, we built the rear dinette area out of an old memory foam mattress which we had, which was barely used, and we just basically cut it with a bread knife, okay? And we measured it all out, and this is what it looked like without the fabric on it. Then what I done is I cut the strips of fabric to go around the corners of the cushions, and then I cut the top bit, making sure that it had the same amount of squares on each one, all right? And I got the mother-in-law to then sew it for us. This is what they looked like before they were sewed. And this is what the covers look like once they were sewed. We did go for memory foam for one of two reasons. A, because the whole bit cost us £100 rather than £675 of foam. And B, because it's really, really comfortable to sleep on, and I can vouch for this because we have been away in it now. The issue with it though is it's not amazing to sit on, and sometimes it makes the fabric sag for a little bit once you've got off. The next part of this process was we used 5mm plywood, which was cut to order from B&Q, and then stapled it to the back, ensuring that you keep a nice straight line on all the edges and prioritise the edge which you will see on the Caravan over the other one, because it won't be perfect. I'm not a professional upholsterer. Because I'm not perfect with a bread knife, we did stuff little bits of upholstery foam down the sides, and this is what it looked like at the end. Then went to a local sawmill, which is the Southwestern Sawmill in Old Holt, and it is really nice there. We got this live edge Dougie firs, and we've got cedar, and the reason I've used them two materials is because they're really lightweight. So these will be the shelf units. I got the sawmill to cut them to size, and I took the bark off with a hammer and chisel. I wanted the live edge shape and a bit of the coloration, but I didn't really want the bark because I found it was a bit dark and clashed with some of the colours in the Caravan. If you give it about a couple of mil away from the actual wood, then the whole bark should just chip off. And this is what it looks like once it's done. Here's a before and after of what it looks like once it's been sanded. As you see, it's a bit rough, and then this is the sanded half, which I've done. So I wanted to keep a bit of colour. And here's the corner section of the shelves, which Kingsley kindly cut for us. And here's the shelf, a bit of sanding on one side and no sanding on the other side. This thing we were tackling is that lovely light but hard-wearing cedar worktop. And what I've done with that is I've sanded it down. Now what I should have done was plane it to get rid of the sawmill marks, but I didn't. I spent 10 hours sanding this thing, front and back, but obviously I spent more time on the top bit, and as you can see I'm absolutely covered in sand, and I probably really annoyed the neighbours at the same time. What it looked like after a light sand, but as you can still see, this is what the sort of before and after was from the sawmill mark. That little section down there still took me about an hour, so as you can see it definitely took 10 hours. And I worked from 60 grit to 120 to 240, and then finished off on 600 grit to give that lovely buttery smooth finish. I then filled the cracks inside the wood, so I wanted to keep it sort of natural looking instead of just putting normal filler on, with a clear epoxy resin and hardener. It's a 50-50 mix, and it takes 10 hours to harden, and then you basically leave it overnight. It's supposed to be at room temperature, and then sand it back, ensuring that you clamp a piece of wood underneath so that epoxy resin doesn't go all the way through. It does take a while to sand this off, and it took 3 lots of epoxy resin to fill this part of the worktop, which was a bit of a nightmare, but definitely well worth it. And bunged all the materials into the back of the Caravan and got away, and she was just under, and that's including spare wheel and some tools which I couldn't be bothered to take out. Move the worktop inside the Caravan. It's extremely light. I did it on my own, and you pretty much do it with one arm. I just used white spirit to clean it all off. I waited for that to then clear, and then I applied 3 layers of this clear worktop oil. After 10 minutes of it setting in, I used a lint-free cloth to wipe off the excess, and I was really, really happy with the result. I then got my little mate Mimi in to give me a hand with doing some of the trim work. I used these iron-on strips to cover up any of the sort of wood, still exposed wood, and also around the bottom of the L shape to protect the 18mm plywood. I also think this helps with protecting the kids from getting splinters getting in and out of bed. I then fitted the door handles to the cupboard. Okay, I bought the same door handles for the bottom of the L shape as well. And unfortunately the camera died before you could actually see me fitting the handles. I had some of the Worktop oil left, so I used it on the Dougie Furs live edge shelves, and this is how they come out. They look absolutely beautiful, and I'm really happy with them. I then cashed in a favour with my dad and got him in the night before we were going away. Whilst he was doing the Worktop fixings, I was holding it in place, and then we worked as a team to get the live edge shelves in. But this had to be done in a certain order due to the curtain rails and their weird design, which I designed myself. Whilst he was then fitting the doors, which he insisted on doing, I was doing the electrics for the shelves going round. As you can see in the background, you can see that they keep turning on and off. This is the shelf above the kitchen, which I've routed out a little bit of a section to put the LED strip, and then on the reverse side of this and on all the other shelves, I've routed out a bit to go around the whole outside and the straight edge, so that it fits the LED strips in, which look like this. Thank you very much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. If you've got any questions about the restoration process, then then ask away in the comments. Alternatively, check out the playlist, which will be the pinned comment for the whole restoration progress. Cheers, see you next time.